current state that we're in, there is a great effort to provoke a fear response in the population. And that in and of itself is going to create ill health. And when you get into other realms of physics, we can even explain at great length how that will create very exact changes in our biology and even become a self-fulfilling prophecy that will create the very symptoms that are then blamed on a microbe that's so-called going through the population.
Thoughts create things, good and bad. Our thoughts are very powerful.
We have so much trauma installed within us, potentially accidental or inherited intergenerationally from previous generations who, for example, experienced the horrors of war. So when we have that installed in us, we haven't resolved our own traumas, it is so easy to trigger the fear response, under the auspices of trying to save us from deadly particles.
When we're so fixated on the germ theory, we stop looking at other causes and we never really find a solution.
Very interesting for me personally to recognize that this is spiritual warfare and really sorcery. The power of words as spells, as literal spells that are cast, and neurolinguistic programming and other areas of psychology have explored.
Now, if you say, why don't you just show me the teeming particles in the lung fluid of the sick person? They say things like, well, there's not enough virus to find in the lung fluid, which then begs the question of, there's not enough virus to find, what makes you think it's going to kill us all? They say that this is a wrong way of thinking because viruses are only intracellular pathogens, meaning you obviously, silly Tom, can't find loose viruses, free viruses, because they're all only inside the cell, and so you could only find them by looking at cells. It has to get free in order to be transmissible. That's what they say.
From what I've been able to understand about the way things really work, it's all about frequency, and consciousness guides frequency.
Speaking of resonant frequencies, I just met Veda Austin.
I would simply just get my petri dish of the water that had helped heal my body, and I would set some kind of an intention, and I would freeze it, and I would see what happened. I started to take influences. For example, I can take a photograph of a person, and I put the petri dish of water on top of that photograph, and it will show the person's face, that person's features, and each one is relative to that photo.
There is no existence of a virus, and unfortunately you need a child to be able to point to the emperor and say he's got no clothes on.
Once we can understand that it's a model that is bankrupt, that's built on fraud and misinterpretation, then we can liberate ourselves from it and move towards something much more truthful.